Well, I went to start on implementing Auk, and I quickly realized I don't have a good way of calling the server, and I have to keep track of a base URL of where the actual API is. And I went, oh. So I whipped up a very quick Trepo SDK. It's not object-oriented at all. It's in JavaScript. It's just essentially a straight up pass through around an HTTP request. So here it is. You get a new Trepo SDK based on your base URL, and like this. And then you have get, post, put, and delete. And you pretty much say trepo.put the URL from the base of Trepo body, and then you simple ES6 style promises, the official ones. Then fulfilled or rejected. Call to the response or an error. So really simple. I also quickly realized that I needed a mock SDK because I have demo pages that I want or need to do for each of the elements in Auk, so that I can see all the various states and see how they look and be able to do things like that. So with this mock SDK, I can essentially say, okay, when I make a GET request that contains this, run this. I can also say, okay, if you post a name, here's your URL, here's your body, and then you can return your appropriate promise or function that will be stuck inside your promise to either resolve or reject based off of what you have. So this one will say, okay, if body is null, reject it, otherwise resolve it and return, nothing. This would, of course, return something, usually, if it was successful. So that will help me be able to do what I need to do in terms of layouts. So let's see, Sketch. There we go. So I've been playing around in Sketch, picking some basic colors. These are not meant to be long-term solutions. These are meant to be initial solutions such that you can get the point of what it's supposed to do. Looking around on my scratch pad, just was experimenting with different types and persons, colors, keeping track of their various states. This is kind of, I had to do this to figure out kind of what I wanted on a demo page, or what I was kind of looking for. If you can pass in an empty person as a placeholder. Let's say that you have a marriage and you want the actual person there and they haven't picked it yet. So you put an empty one there, and then what you can do is you can click on it and switch it into editable mode, and then it will make the appropriate queries to Trepo and give you a selector for a person or the ability to create a new person. Loading, so if you're going and fetching things, error states, updating states, these are just kind of experimenting a little bit. I also had to consider what would happen if there were boundary nodes. Played around with a lot of stuff. I was thinking of probably just, here's your basic ones, and then I'll just add a gray background. And then some type of on hover or on click or something that notifies you that it is not editable. Also kind of worked on the basic wireframe of kind of a demo page for a component. I need to be able to switch things like the base font size and the width and the height of the elements. And then using this, I can initialize all the core components into their kind of their states for whatever their states are. This one's particularly for place, I think is the one. I think place and date share this. You have your normal state where everything works great and it looks the way it is. You have an empty state where there was no node identifier passed in. You have loading, and what I can do there is using the SDK, I can just never call accept or reject, or not accept or reject, but resolve or reject. And then it'll just sit in a loading state forever, essentially, so I can see what that looks like. I can throw an error and see what that looks like. I can give back a boundary node and see what that looks like. If I'm editing, I can have a here's normal edit mode with whatever type of input operations are on there. Here's what an empty one looks like. Here's how you select, or initialize. Here's what it looks like when it's saving. Here's what it looks like when it received an error back. Here's what it looks like when you have or tried to edit a boundary node. What happens in that case. So then you can have these groups here, and you can mess with the CSS here, or using these inputs, and be able to see what's going on. So I have an example. Worked on the Auk core place. This is actually core place. So if I go in and I view page source, you'll notice that I actually have Auk core places, and then I'm saying normal loading error boundaries. This is the node identifier. It's usually a UUID, but in this case, because I'm not doing any checking, I'm not sure if I will yet or not, but because I'm not, I can just go ahead and identify them in a certain way, and then when I have the mock SDK, I can just do get, and then I can say normal is this thing, and do whatever I need to do with the mock SDK. I still need to abstract some stuff away and put stuff globally, but that's what it looks like. And let's see. So you hit the page, and you can increase the font size. Let's leave it 17. You can increase your width, and your height. I'm using the up and down and left right keys on my keyboard, because once you get it selected, it's nice to be able to just increment it. So let's make them really big, really wide, and really tall. You'll notice that the question mark doesn't stay centered, which is something I need to work on and figure out and whatnot. And you'll notice that none of them do anything. So today and tomorrow, that's what I'll be doing, is getting this page up. So my goal is to have all these various states on the view. I don't think I'll do the edit yet. Just do view, see what happens, and then do this for place and name and person, and then probably, like I said yesterday, go back and do birth, because birth will be a compound. You'll have multiple cores in it, so it'll be good to be able to mess with those and see what it looks like as it scales up and scales down, and how I'm going to fit things together. But that's what I did. So I'm enjoying it, moving forward, still adjusting to the switch from JavaScript to Java. Again, I'm not. You think I would be used to bouncing back and forth, but I'm not as used to it as I thought I was. Been in Java a little bit too long. So, well, take care.